five, you know, beyond him, all the good guys can't find.
Yeah, so you get
We'll cover you on that, don't worry.
Yeah.
Right, start off with Neptune Cheltenham. Obviously running a couple of gold cuts before, been placed twice, run a good race, always runs well at Cheltenham, and ran a cracking race the other day when he won the Argenta Chase, when he made all the running. Not getting any younger, he's not getting any quicker, but he still ran a nice good race the other day, and the intention is to run him at Cheltenham in the Gold Cup. By winning the other day, went up £8, which is virtually ended up with him having top weight in the National, which I suspect to be unlikely this year, but that's further on down the ride. But he loves Cheltenham, always runs a good race. We had a little scare after Cheltenham when he pulled up. He walked away from the paddock a bit sore, and his off-forward joint was huge for 48 hours, and we were a little bit nervous. He had quite a bad injury, but X-ray showed he was fine. He's got over that. He's cantering again now, and he's in good shape. Another grey horse, Alpha Off, is by the same sire as Neptune, Damalco, and he's what I call sort of like baby Neptune. He's almost at the same stage he was in his younger days. Was second in last year's Cheltenham Bumper, ran a nice race. He's won his last 2 novice hurdles. He won well at Taunton and he won well at Newbury last week when we had that tragedy. Just basically been gaining some experience. Everyone had different opinions. I think he'd have won the first day when he fell come down the hill at Cheltenham. He was still going well in front. And then he ran far too free in the fog in the mud at Newbury over 2 mile 5, which I don't think he really wants. I'm sure he's got plenty of speed, and he's in both the Supreme Novice on the first day and the Neptune Novice Hurdle on the second day over 2.5. Haven't really decided where he's going to go, but I suspect if the ground's good to soft, he'll run on the first day in the Supreme. I think he's very much in the mode of Noland, who we won the race with, in that he's a staying 2-miler. He travels really well, jumps very well. And as I said, he'll run in the Supreme and make a cracking chaser next year. Our next horse is probably one of the most improved horses in training. This is Walk and Folly, who actually had a little minor setback in that he was due to run in the Game Spirit the first day it was on, and a couple of days before he'd given a couple of coughs and I wasn't entirely happy with him. We did a track wash with him on the Friday morning, which came out, as they say, dirty, so I wasn't going to risk running him on the Saturday. He was probably back in his box here smiling because he didn't have a day out and didn't go to races and not run. He had to have some antibiotics for 5 days after that, which is normal, so I couldn't run him last week, but he's back in full work again now, and you know, we've kept him fresh and well. His form has been astounding, really, because I never thought at the start of the season he'd be sort of vying for, you know, one of the shorter prices for the Champion Chase with Masterminded, but he won very, very well at Ascot first time out. He won well again at Cheltenham. In fact, he's only been beaten once over fences. Would love to have good ground. He wouldn't want it too soft, and he's a bit of a surprise package for us this season. This is a gorgeous horse, one of my favourites. This is 1833 that won at Newbury on Friday. Had 3 runs this season, won his novice hurdle at Cheltenham, and he's won his 2 chases at Newbury, won by 52 lengths on Friday. And just interestingly, I was just talking to Phil Smith and just said, what sort of mark have you got him on? He actually rates him now 159 on his runs over fences this year. And if you put that into perspective, I think that's £8 higher than Denman was at the time he went into the Sun Alliance. And that's actually only £2 behind what Time for Rupert's done this year. Time for Rupert's on 161. So that makes it very interesting. As you can see, he's a big, scopy, gorgeous horse. He jumps well, he gallops all day. And I have to say, he's astounded me how he's improved this year from being ordinary last year. We always thought he was good, but had little issues with him being babyish. But the other day, he's awesome. And both Noel Feely and Nick Schofield have got off and said he feels like one of the nicest horses they've ever sat on. So I hope they're right. This is Gazeo, who's vying for favouritism for the Arkle. Lovely big scopy horse, was always going to be a better chaser than he was ever a hurdler. He was struggling with his breathing last year, hence a few disappointing runs back end of last season over hurdles. Wasn't quite sure whether he wanted a trip or what, but we'd soon sorted out his breathing. He was a much better horse. ran very nicely at Cheltenham the first day in October when he finished second. When he was nowhere near ready, I'd rushed him a little bit. I knew he'd improved tons. Went back to the Paddy Power meeting and he won very impressively. He then gained £10 to Captain Chris and won at Newbury over Christmas on ground that didn't really suit. He likes a bit of cut in the ground, but he doesn't want it really testing. He went very nicely in a racecourse gallop yesterday with Poquelin, and he's bang on, looks fab, and he's ready to run. As I said, runs in the Arkle on the first day. And one thing, he loves the track. He's got loads of speed. He's basically flatbred. He's by Tiger Hill from a great flat family with a size and scope of a chaser. And touch wood, he jumps great. I was reading in one of the papers this morning that my subs bench for next season looks very weak. With horses like 1833 and Gazelle, I wouldn't be swapping them. Right, from a big, strong, scopy horse to something a little bit different. This is Brampaw, who runs in the Triumph Hurdle. Totally different horse. You can see we bought him just as a hurdler. He's by Dale Army, who had liked better ground. Had a nice run at Kempton the first day, finished third. And I always leave a load of work on my flat horses. In that, he jumped, he ran a bit free and jumped okay. Much better at Taunton last week in a fast run race where he galloped on away, and he'll improve again. He will be better on good ground. And what he will like is a really fast run race and a good strong gallop, which you'll get in the Triumph. Just don't think he'd want it too soft. He will eventually get 2.5 miles because he's bred to stay. But I've been pleased with his progress, and I think he'll progress even more. And it's another one the same age as in the Triumph called Sam Winner, who's completely the opposite to Brampaw. As you can see, he's a big, strong horse. This was very much bought in the fact that he'll be a chaser in the making, and he'll go chasing in the autumn. Has done really well for us since he joined. He won at Cheltenham the first day at the Paddy Power meeting, won again with a penalty at the mid-December meeting. He's beaten Grandaway and all the way. I shouldn't have run him at Christmas at Chepstow. It's always a big mistake, I think, running a Triumph horse in the mud at Christmas, and I sort of got half persuaded to run, and I wish I hadn't because the ground was very deep. He didn't really act. He's a horse who's a little bit thick of his wind, and to go and run in that sort of ground doesn't suit him. He's had a nice break since then, and he's fresh and well. He's started to work really nicely, and I think you'll see a totally different horse at Cheltenham than you saw at Chepstow. He's been around there twice. What suits him is a really fast run race with just a nice bit of cut in the ground, and he stays on very strongly. As you can see, he's going to make a lovely chaser in the autumn, but I think he'll run a grand race at Cheltenham, and he deserves to be right. If I hadn't run him at Chepstow, he'd still be favourite for the Triumph, and I think, as I said, it was an error running him in that deep ground at Chepstow. Ruby always says to me, forget the form in January on deep winter ground, come the festival on spring ground, you get totally different conditions and different results. So just looking forward to some nice ground at Cheltenham, and I think he'll leave that Chepstow run well behind him.